Hi, welcome to the NAB Show 2013 Studio Experience. I'm Steve Waskell, and today we have a really fantastic press event. Some good announcements from the Thunderbolt team at Intel. And Jason Ziller, the Marketing Director of the Client Connectivity Division with Intel, is going to take you through the latest advancements with some friends to help out, right?
We got them, yeah.
Great.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason.
All right, thank you. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming today. My name is Jason Ziller, as you mentioned, Director of Marketing in the Client Connectivity Division at Intel. We also have a couple of guest speakers. Dan May, Blackmagic Design President of USA, and Dave Helmley, Senior Product Manager at Adobe for video, Pro Video in the Americas. So they'll come up a little later on and tell their thoughts on Thunderbolt. But first, I wanted to talk to you for a little bit about the status of Thunderbolt, really the snapshot of the industry status today. Talk to you about the new controller that's just been released, and then we'll give you a little preview of what's coming after that. So it should be a little bit exciting as we go forward. So first of all, looking back over the last couple of years, just where we got to today. A couple of years ago, we launched Thunderbolt. Apple came out with the first MacBook Pros with Thunderbolt. And then a few months after that, the first Thunderbolt devices came into the market. Apple released their Thunderbolt display, which is still in the market now and a very popular product. The second generation of controller that we came out with on Thunderbolt enabled the PC ecosystem, the Windows PC ecosystem, to be enabled. And in the middle of last year, we started seeing the first PCs start to come to market. There was a second wave of PCs around the holiday season, around Windows 8 kind of time frame. And then a little later in the year, around the fourth quarter of last year, we started seeing some of the first devices that were supporting Windows as well, supporting PCs. So this year we're looking at continued ramp of PCs and devices. We'll talk a little bit later about, really the next ramp of PCs will be coming with the fourth generation core processor launches coming up in the middle of the year. So where we are today, Macs have been shipping for quite a while with Thunderbolt ports. You can see the MacBook Pro with Retina display, their newest MacBook Pros, the MacBook Air, the original MacBook Pros, the iMac, and even the Mac Mini all have Thunderbolt ports. And actually, the latest MacBook Pro with Retina display and also the iMacs have 2 Thunderbolt ports. So you can see that Apple is very much supporting Thunderbolt. Millions have been shipped so far. On the PC side, here's a sampling of the PCs and motherboards that are available. You can see a mix there from leading PC vendors such as HP, Lenovo, etc. And then also on the motherboard side, leading makers of motherboards, ASUS, and of course Intel and others are shipping now in the market. On the device side, we have pretty broad industry support. You can see some of the leading companies there that are building Thunderbolt devices at one stage or another, or have some in the market already. You can see, and we'll talk later about some of the usages in some of the products, but there's a variety of leading storage vendors, media, obviously a lot of the companies that are big here. At NAB, have a lot of products in the market, media products with Thunderbolt. Also various kinds of accessories and adapters and dongles and things. We actually have over 200 licensees to date that are developing Thunderbolt products in one form or another. Here's a sampling of some of the Thunderbolt devices. Again, it's sampling some of the key vendors like Western Digital, Seagate, and many other storage, LaCie, many other storage vendors. A lot of media, obviously Blackmagic has a few on this chart. And others. So you can see a good variety of products that are in the market. The other thing to take note here is that over the last 6 to 9 months, there's been a lot of products that have come to market that are lower cost. We're seeing the cost trending down. The line in the middle there, everything below it is $299 or less. So you can see kind of these mainstream or low-cost price points that are coming out on a variety of different products. And I think we'll see that trend to continue. There's a lot of high-end products for the media creators here, but also a lot of other types of products for the broader market of Thunderbolt users. Today we have over 75 total devices that are certified, and again, seeing those prices come down. On the cable side, I want to show you a few cables. But so we have various manufacturers there. Sumitomo, Lintus, Foxconn, Foxlink, and Corning are all developing various kinds of Thunderbolt electrical and optical cables. Right now, there's a variety of cables in the market of different lengths, from 0.1 meter all the way up to 3 meter. Electrical cables can go a length of 3 meters. And then for optical cables, where you want to go longer lengths, I know the crowd here has been asking for optical cables for a while. 30-meter cables are available now from Sumitomo, and there'll be other ones available in the next couple of months, also Corning with a 100-meter cable. So just to show you a little bit, these are one of the 30-meter cables from Sumitomo here. And then also this Corning. This is a 100-meter reel here, 100-meter cable, and it's actually a thinner cable that you can see fits on a reel for 100 meters. The other thing I wanted to mention is thin cables. And so the standard Thunderbolt cables, you've probably seen the thickness on them. What we're seeing now is thinner electrical cables that are going to be coming out probably in the next month or so from a couple of those vendors. And I don't know if you can see it here. See if we can get a shot of that. But it's a thin, what's a good angle? It's a thin electrical cable here, about 3 meters thin, 3 millimeters thin, sorry. And you can see even compared to like a USB 3 cable, it's quite a bit thinner here. So it's a very nice cable. I think that's going to be coming out. They'll go up to 2 meters. They'll have very short ones as well that could be bundled with devices. A lot of storage devices are very interested in using a very thin cable like that. Yeah, and I think the other point too is that we're seeing a lot more devices actually bundling cables, shipping with cables today. And part of the reason for that is because lower priced cables are now available. Apple has lowered the price of their 2-meter cable by $10 in their Apple Store. They're also shipping a half-meter cable for $29. Some of these other vendors are shipping for similar or even lower prices on some of those cables. So we're seeing that. We are seeing a lot of the brands down below here are resellers, cable resellers that are selling in various channels around the world. So there's a lot of different cables available in various places. So that's kind of a snapshot of where Thunderbolt is today. I wanted to, before we kind of talk about the new products and what's happening going forward, I want to just give a little bit of refresher about Thunderbolt for those of you who may not know all the details about it. Some of the key features here, 10 gigabits per second, bidirectional, full bidirectional, and also dual channel. So you get 10 gigabits per channel, 2 channels on a cable, one for data, one for display. PCI Express and DisplayPort are the protocols used for data and display, respectively, on that single compact port, Thunderbolt port, and cable. Also, Thunderbolt is compatible with standard DisplayPort displays or adapters. So you can take, on the Thunderbolt port, you can take a standard adapter or display, plug it in, and then it just works like standard DisplayPort. Or you can hang Thunderbolt data or display devices off of it and have it work like Thunderbolt. When you're using it as Thunderbolt, you can daisy chain up to 6 devices to it, so very easy daisy chain capability. Also, the active cables we talked about go up to 3 meters electrical and up to will be 100 meters soon on optical cables. And lastly, 10 watts of bus power supported that you get to a device, so you can power bus power devices, which is very good for portable applications. You can see here, I just want to point out, because I'll talk about it a little bit later, is the channels there. You have 10 gigabits going in each direction, and then 2 channels of that, which make up all of the capabilities of Thunderbolt on a cable. So what does that do for you? Thunderbolt really makes some new things possible, and again, especially for the crowd here, a lot of things going on, a lot of announcements this week with Thunderbolt. We kind of break it up into 3 bucket areas, usage areas. First of all, faster sync and go and media transfer, so being able to transfer an HD movie in less than 30 seconds, or let's say you're going on the road, you want to grab 10 HD movies from your archive and run out the door with your portable drive. you can download that just in a couple of minutes. Or if you're doing media creation, media editing, and you're backing up all of your content, you can do that very quickly as well. Fastest connection to be able to do that. Second bucket is media creation, what we're all about here. Being able to capture and edit multiple uncompressed video streams in real time. Daisy chaining, we talked about being able to daisy chain your workflow, so you have your computer and your storage devices and your video capture devices, maybe your camera, maybe your network, all these different things connected together. Being able to do that very simply and no compromise on performance. Also, especially for the audio creators here, low latency audio is very important and very useful for Thunderbolt for that audience. Lastly, docking and expansion capability. So you can have the highest resolution displays hanging off a Thunderbolt. Fastest external storage. If you have a dock and you have USB ports or Ethernet ports or other ports, you really have no compromise. You have full performance capability going to those devices. And then also, just in general, more possibilities for expansion. On laptops, ultrabooks that are getting very small, you can expand outside the box. On all-in-one computers, which are getting bigger, more in volume, they don't have a lot of expansion capability, so now you can expand even like PCI devices outside of the all-in-one. So those kind of categories are particularly interesting for that expansion. So those are some of the things that are making Thunderbolt exciting for this crowd. So the first thing I want to talk about that's new here at the show is our newest Thunderbolt controller. It's a host controller for the PC side. It's called the DSL 4510 or 4410. Some of you may have heard a code name called Redwood Ridge. The 4510 is a 4-channel. So remember I said there's 2 channels per port. So you get 4 channels. You can put 2 ports on a computer. The second one is a 2-channel product, so you can have 1 port on a computer. Some of the improvements over the previous generation, so all the PCs and motherboards that are out today are using this Cactus Ridge codename part, and there's some improvements over that we're seeing in the new part. First of all, DisplayPort 1.2 capability when connecting to native DisplayPort displays. Today's controller supports DP 1.1a. If you're connected to native displays, you can get DP 1.2 full capability there. Second is improved power management, both in terms of your power consumption during idle and disconnect, as also some hardware features for overall better platform power management, being able to make it more friendly for small laptops and ultrabooks and things. And then the last is reduction in platform BOM cost and area. We've integrated a voltage regulator, which saves a little bit on cost and area on the motherboard. So this controller is in production now. It's being built into some of the next generation, 4th generation Intel Core processor platforms that are going to be coming out in mid-year. So we'll see a lot of the ones using this new host controller for that. And this just gives a picture of our controllers. You can see the 1st generation one on the far side there, but the ones in the box are really the 2 that are being used by developers this year. We have the, as I mentioned, kind of the Cactus Ridge and Redwood Ridge. They're in the same package type. It's a small package. You can see compared to the Dime, it's a very small package. And then on the device side, a single PCIe device. If you look out, by the way, we have 2 demos outside of the booth showing here, and we have a bunch of devices laid out. You'll see some very, very small devices like a LaCie Rugged or a Promise J2 that are using this port ridge, very small chip to be able to get into a very small bus-powered storage device or other kind of device. So you can see, again, comparing to the small Dime there. Okay, now I want to talk about a little preview of what's coming a little later in the year. This says first time it's being discussed publicly. It's our next generation Thunderbolt controller. We've codenamed it Falcon Ridge. It runs at 20 gigabits per second. That is really the flagship feature of that new controller. So the fastest connection to the PC, being Thunderbolt, is now getting faster, or will be getting faster when this comes out. Really, the usage model here is it enables 4K video capability. So it can support 4K video file transfer and display simultaneously. It's really the only PCIO that can do that. But it's fully compatible to existing cables and connectors. Now, how does it do that? If you look at the picture here, if you remember the picture I showed you a little bit earlier, showed the basically the 2 channels, 10 gigabits in each direction on the 2 channels, one for data, one for display. What we're doing here is that in the controller, we're combining those 2 channels into one single 20 gigabit per second channel. And you'll be able to run data and display together on that single channel. So what that does for you is it allows you to have faster data devices or faster display devices, depending on what your needs are. So very exciting. Again, I know the crowd here has been looking for this for a while, so now we're talking about it. Initial production of this controller is expected before the end of this year, with the ramp in 2014. So just a little bit on the bandwidth there. This is today's Thunderbolt with the 2 channels, 10 gigabits per second, compared to some of the other I/O that you might find on a PC today. So, you know, twice as fast as USB 3 and lots faster than everything else. And then when we get to the Falcon Ridge running 20 gigabits, we get a single channel going all the way up to 20 gigabits per second. So very, very exciting there. So what can that do for you? Just a little bit, and I'm sure that all of the companies here will be thinking of lots of creative ways to use that extra bandwidth, but just some examples of how you might be able to use that. Hooking up, again, these are just showing some laptops. Obviously, these can be used with all-in-ones or desktops, but being able to connect to dual monitors and storage, and being able to work with 4K video. Or in this corner here, they're showing 2 Thunderbolt ports like you see on the Apple products today that can connect to a 4K video display, and also a number of different types of storage and other kinds of products, video capture products, and being able to do simultaneously, again, working with the 4K video and rendering and displaying it on a 4K display all at the same time, even on a laptop machine. First time, obviously, you're able to do that, especially on a laptop. Okay, so I actually want to show a little demonstration. We actually got the first silicon, the initial prototype silicon of this technology, of this Falcon Ridge, literally hot off the press, flown in from Israel yesterday, 2 days ago now. So hopefully it will work. But like I say, it's very new, first time shown publicly. So I wanted to show you guys what the very early prototype silicon can do here. So what we have, if I can walk through here, is we have a desktop PC here with a Falcon Ridge card in it on the host side that's daisy-chained, connected to 2 boxes here that is a device. So it's a device box. And it's and then they're daisy-chained together. Each box has an SSD in it. So these are enterprise SSDs that run 1 gigabyte per second. We really needed to aggregate 2 of them together to show the performance that we're going to show. And then this is daisy-chained out of that box up to this monitor, which is daisy-chained to that monitor. So we have 2 QHD 2560 by 1440 monitors showing the display there. So I don't know if you can see the meter there. This is an I/O meter showing the performance benchmark just against these SSDs. And you can see it's running about over 1,200 megabytes per second. So the fastest demonstration of storage, if you've been playing with today's Thunderbolt storage devices, this is faster than anything in the market. And like I say, this is early prototype silicon, hot off the press, and we're already getting 1260 megabytes per second. So very exciting here. Okay. Okay, so now what I want to do is invite up Dan May, again, Blackmagic Design President of the Americas, or USA, to talk a little bit about Thunderbolt. So,
thank you very much. Hi guys, I'm Dan with Blackmagic Design. I hope most of you know who we are. We are obviously presenting at the show as well. Blackmagic Design does create hardware and software for post-production, live production. We make cinema cameras, and we were one of the earliest adopters of Thunderbolt. For us, we've always wanted to have really high quality post-production capabilities, and because of the really high quality and the demand that we put on ourselves to have that kind of quality, we've always been, in the past, tied to really a desktop-based solution. We needed that PCI Express to have that throughput, and we didn't really have a lot of option to tie into a lot of different machines. So for us, when Thunderbolt came around, we really found we had this great opportunity to have this high bandwidth interface to be able to create a bunch of new products. I think we were up to about 13 Thunderbolt products today, which obviously is a big chunk of some of that Thunderbolt development that's been done out there. So what Thunderbolt really gives us is the ability to do things like these high bandwidth data rates, being able to use all these different products with a wide variety. So we not only are able to work with desktops like we were before, but we can talk to these all-in-one machines. We can work with laptops, and these were things that were just really never before capable with a Thunderbolt device, is having that high data rate on all these different formats. So we just kind of went crazy and started building a ton of different Thunderbolt devices. Obviously one of the most popular and most commonly seen type of Blackmagic devices are our I/O devices. These would be similar to, if you're familiar with our DeckLink capture cards, our Ultra Studio for Thunderbolt products. They were all created with the idea of being able to have these external devices that could use Thunderbolt. Again, one of these things we weren't able to do before, not only to have that mobile production being tied to that desktop, but also being able to have an external device that we can say, I'm using it on the desktop today, now I'm going on the road, I want to use it with a laptop, now I'm going to a client, I want to use it with an all-in-one. These solutions are portable in them of themselves, as well as being able to work in that kind of mobile environment. So we've got several different Ultra Studio products that we've put out there. They all kind of function in that same input-output functionality, but Thunderbolt's really critical for us to be able to have that high data rate to be able to do some of these 3D, 4K, as well as regular HD resolution. Of course, hopefully you've also seen our Blackmagic cinema cameras in the past. This was an announcement we made last year. Of course, we have a new 4K camera we've announced at the show this year as well. Both of these are equipped with Thunderbolt as well, so they were the world's first Thunderbolt-based equipped camera. Again, we need that really high data rate because we wanted to be able to have a camera that not only could we go out and shoot onto SSD drives, because we need that high data rate for these high cinema DNG RAW files that we're recording, but we also wanted to add Thunderbolt so that we could actually, Thunderbolt has this great interoperability with all these different devices, all the hard drives that have been mentioned, to be able to go out and take a camera and have Thunderbolt going into a laptop with another Thunderbolt-enabled hard drive, being able to record directly to that. It really speeds up all that post-production workflow. That was something that it's been really complicated to have that kind of quality, but Thunderbolt really enables all that great interoperability, and that really has benefited our customers to a great extent. So having the world's first Thunderbolt camera, really an exciting moment for us, and I'm sure Intel was happy to see that camera last year as well. And I have to always mention our DaVinci Resolve software. And while this obviously isn't a Thunderbolt device in and of itself, it does tie into a lot of Thunderbolt-based capabilities that we have out there. Resolve is kind of a wonderful color grading software. We use it as a finishing tool out there as well. But one of the greatest things that we've seen with Resolve over these last, I'd say, 18 months is a lot of folks wanting to do on-set color grading. And what that means is they want to be able to be on set. They want to have the lighting person, the makeup person, the DOP, and they want to have, it's not quite a workflow that we've seen in the past because it was just not possible to be done. But with something like Thunderbolt and Resolve, we've actually now added a new DaVinci Live feature in Resolve to where we can have a Thunderbolt-enabled device, whether it be our camera or one of our Thunderbolt devices, be able to use Resolve and have this on-set capability so that the lighting can be adjusted and people can get things on set right, and the colorist can be right there using Thunderbolt to be able to see what is a final product is going to be at the end of the day, something we were never really able to do before. They can save that file, they can take it back when they're all done, load it right into post, and between Resolve, our other Thunderbolt devices, this is just entirely new workflows that were just never available before, so a tremendously exciting feature that we're able to offer now. Teranex 2D and 3D, another great product that we've developed. We acquired Teranex about 2 years ago, and these guys were known as being a world's leading conversion capability. So if they wanted to have SD to HD frame rate conversions, they had all of that down. They really had this fantastic product idea, but the one thing they didn't have, partly because of the technology available, was being able to have this device hooked up to all different types of computers to be able to be a live capture and playback as well. And of course, us, having a great experience with Intel and developing for Thunderbolt devices, we're able to add Thunderbolt onto our Teranex units. So now are they only great standalone converters, but they're really one of the most powerful capture boxes that we have available, and that is also because of Thunderbolt as well. Another example where we're able to use Thunderbolt to do this high data transfer is our HyperDeck Studio Pro line. These are solid-state disk recorders, really built for video in mind. They have a bit of that deck-like functionality so that we can capture and play back off of the SSDs. And once again, Thunderbolt's what really enables us to have this be hooked to all of these different format PCs, Macs, laptops, all-in-ones, and be able to do that data transfer. So yet another example where Thunderbolt's able to add quite a lot to the products that we have available. And as we look forward, having this new 20 gig Thunderbolt that's coming, right now we're able to do things like 3D, we're able to do 4K, but as was mentioned, 4K with 4K monitoring, not possible. So being able to have that extra bandwidth for 4K, future 4K stereoscopic, future RGB type, these are things that Intel's really thinking about with this new format, and we're tremendously excited about. So we'll continue with the development of Thunderbolt as a great format. So we're excited about that. And I will now shift this over to my good friend and colleague, Mr. Dave Helmley from Adobe Systems.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. Well, thank you guys for coming. We'll kind of give you guys our view of Thunderbolt. So, as Jason said, I'm the senior manager for a consulting group for all the Americas, specifically on Pro Video. So I thought I'd show you sort of what my team does with new technology, because that's really what we do. When you think of Adobe, we're just a software company, right? We've got Premiere and After Effects and Photoshop and all these great products. We're doing an awesome NAB reveal today, so a lot of excitement in the booth. But the questions that my team gets is, how do I make this workflow work? So I wanted to give you guys sort of some example of things that we're working with. Here's just some of the customers. We've got some of these guys in the booth. We had the Got Milk commercial on the Super Bowl, and there was just a bunch of other just fun stuff. The Annoying Orange guys, if you haven't gotten a whiff of that product, it's on TV. It's pretty interesting. Your kids will know about it. They're doing an episode in there. But a lot of these guys will come to us and ask us about workflow and workflow tips. So having to keep up on technology, and Intel has been an amazing partner for us, both on the CPU side and, of course, on new technologies like Thunderbolt, and giving us early exposure to some of that. On the broadcast side, I thought I'd throw this slide up there. They're kind of asking the same thing. Help us with the workflow, help us with backups. What does this mean? And a lot of times we're having to explain to them what the advantages of Thunderbolt is. And if you don't really understand the workflow or exactly where I'm going with this, I wanted to point out that, as Dan said, the I/O part, what we call Mercury Transmit, is our I/O. That's where Thunderbolt fits on that. So I always like to tell customers who assume that Thunderbolt is really about the hard drive speed and things like that, or I've heard this thing about the display. Thunderbolt is so much more than that, and again, my team has to deal with it every day. So a lot of things that we're doing with I/O and our pipeline, and how all this stuff starts to work together. So you might have seen this slide at other Adobe presentations. I wanted to kind of show you exactly where we fit. Another thing that we're announcing at NAB, you'll hear a lot of buzz about, and I wanted to bring this into context, is Adobe Anywhere, which is our work group platform for editing. What's really interesting about it, and gets you thinking about the workflow, is it uses the same copies of the software that you have today. So the reveal versions of these products that we're mentioning will use all that transmit technology that Dan had mentioned in his I/O products. So all these products will fit. So what does that mean? More people using the products, and I think more people getting exposed to to Thunderbolt. So what I thought I'd do is talk a little bit about some of the partners that we're working with right now and what my team has to do, which is pretty complex sometimes. We have to go in and solve a problem that basically says, here's what we're trying to get done. Our job is to marry and match all the products, usually in my lab. I'm also the Thunderbolt lead at Adobe. So how do I make these things work? And I'll give you a quick example. So on the I/O side, we've got AJA, Matrox, and Blackmagic. That's sort of that transmit side. And there's some other ones out there as well. On the chassis side, where I can take a customer's existing boards out of maybe a Mac Pro or another product and put in an Atto card or a Rocket card or a Fusion I/O card if I need some speeds, I can use these chassis. Great companies like Logic have a very kind of sexy looking chassis. I've got my red Rocket in that, and then a Magma, I've got an IOFX card. And Sonnet, I've got some Atto cards and things in there as well. So really cool technologies. On the storage side, I think you guys have seen a lot of the companies that are out there that we're working with. Atto, I'm going to talk about in just a minute. On the computer side, I've got a lot of this stuff in my lab now, and there's more stuff coming out all the time, some stuff I can't talk about, but it's really starting to mature. So certainly on the Windows side, it's getting very interesting. And I thought I'd mention this right here. I was working with some system builders this summer to talk about, building kind of a new platform. JMR actually here on the floor has got the system that I helped them build, and it's built on the backbone of a Gigabyte UP5 system, which it's just really, really fast. One of my favorite systems to use, and I've been using a lot of different devices with that, and there's some other system builders. So again, this is sort of our world, how we mix and match. Now, this next slide isn't pretty, I'll tell you that, but it is the actual slide that we ran through engineering with a concept that I got approved for a pretty major filmmaker that's going to be working on their next project using Premiere Pro, a very well-known filmmaker. You'll see more information on that later. What he wanted was a solution that allowed him to use 2 of the new iMacs, and he had existing storage with his movie basically on it, it's shot. And they want to be able to share a portable shared network. How would we do that? So we're trying to figure out, how can I do this? So we basically took this existing storage, connected it up via SAS, right? Didn't have to reformat the drives or anything, just connect them. Take Thunderbolt back to the iMac, set up a share folder, very simple. I had my doubts about this working, but it worked fantastic. Then took another Atto box on their Thunderlink, did a 10 gig E over to the other Mac, turned it on, and they hit it hard for a week. So you start look at some of this stuff. I mean, when we looked at this, we're like, wow, this sort of changes that portable editing scenario. So you can, again, use existing storage, connect it up via, great product, this Thunderstream product, and start using Thunderbolt. So I gave you this because those are the partners that we used in this particular example. When you think of Thunderbolt, think about all the different things that it means. Start matching up some of these products. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Jason, and thank you guys.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Take 6 for now. Now let's hold on to the other ones in case.
So I'm going to summarize, and then we'll take Q&A, and you guys can stay up for that. So, great. Well, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it. Very exciting. Again, I just wanted to summarize with some of the key messages here, and then we'll just take Q&A for the rest of the time that we have. First of all, as we mentioned, Thunderbolt continues to drive innovative usages on Macs and PCs across the board now, and lots of devices from leading vendors. Long optical cables are now available, with more coming over the next couple months, and also thinner electrical cables, as I mentioned, will be coming soon. We talked about the newest Thunderbolt controller, the DSL 4510, 4410. It's now in production for PC vendors, targeting for the upcoming systems with the 4th generation Intel Core processors. And then lastly, the next generation Thunderbolt controller, codenamed Falcon Ridge, was previewed with our demo over here, running at 20 gigabits. That enables really 4K video, file transfer, and display simultaneously. And again, initial production of the controller will be expected before the end of the year, with ramp in 2014. So with that, we'll take some Q&A. I did want to mention one thing. As I mentioned before, outside of the booth, we have 2 Thunderbolt demos in the Thunderbolt zone, right directly back there. So you can see a lot of different, some of the usage models that are out there on Mac and PCs with a lot of different devices. There's some other devices laid out, some of the small form factor I mentioned, as well as big desktop storage devices. And also some of the cables that I showed up here are laid out there. There's also a product brochure that shows all of the different PCs and devices that are certified now and either in the market or heading to market that there'll be some on the table over there that you can grab if you want to take a look at it. So with that, guys, come on over and we can just take Q&A for a little while. Dan here has a mic, so if anybody has any questions, you can take the mic from him.
So easy.
You must have a blazing question, right? Do you have a card that you can just drop in a regular computer to give it FireWire or Thunderbolt access?
Is there an add-in card that you can drop into a computer? Today there's not. There's been some question about that, some requests for that, so we're looking about how we can enable that in the future. Yeah.
Other questions? Okay. All very clear?
Guess so.
Okay. And I guess they can come up and take a picture of this demo too, right?
Sure.
So,
yeah,
right.
feel free to take a look at the demo, check out the demos in the back, and thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks.